Hello and welcome to the Walk Around podcast powered by JM&A Group. If you are in the automotive business, you have found the place to be. I am one of your hosts, Mark Spoto, joined as always by Elliot Shore.
Hey now.
And today, you switched it up on me. And today we are welcoming Mike Trudeau. Mike is the Executive VP of Business Development at Montway, which is the nation's leading auto transporter, shipping nearly 200,000 vehicles across all states, 365 days throughout the year. You know, they have a network of 15,000 auto transport carriers, which enables them to give their clients some of the lowest prices in the vehicle shipping industry. Mike has over 18 years of experience in logistics in the automotive industry, working previously for Enterprise and United Road Services. You know, Elliot, this was a really interesting conversation because Mike brings a different angle that is super relevant for the dealer's business.
Yeah, certainly a walk around first and definitely valuable information. You wouldn't think of talking to a logistics expert in logistics company, but certainly a lot of information and things dealers can learn.
Absolutely. All right, so let's take a walk around with Mike Trudeau right after this.
A recent Cox survey found 40% of dealers didn't know about the FTC's proposed rules changing how dealers sell and finance new vehicles. Don't be one of those people. Listen to Daily Drive for all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry.
Each weekday, we bring you the day's biggest news and conversations with leaders in the industry, like this one with National Automobile Dealers Association CEO Mike Stanton.
We're worried about increased transaction times, increased paperwork. We believe what the FTC has proposed is forcing us in the wrong direction.
I'm Automotive News Executive Editor Jamie Butters.
And I'm Kellen Walker. Listen and subscribe to Daily Drive wherever you get your podcast.
Well, welcome Mike Trudeau with Montway Transportation. So great to have you on the Walk Around podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark. Thanks for having me, Elliot.
Yeah, so I have to ask right away, any relation to Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada?
And, you know, actually no relation. But when Pierre Trudeau was the Prime Minister of Canada, I did ask my grandfather as a kid growing up because I got asked that question. And it's like, yeah, he's our 18th cousin. Don't think he was telling me the truth, but so I do say no relation.
Okay, well, so we're excited to have you because this is a little bit of a different angle for us.
Definitely.
On the walk around, you know, coming from the perspective of a transportation provider.
Yeah, you know, you may be asking yourselves, what does transportation and logistics have to do with, you know, what we typically talk about here on the walk around and customer satisfaction and
for sure,
the customer experience and modern retailing. And so, you know, we were hoping, Mike, you know, that you know, we can help our audience learn a little bit more about what you do and you know, right off the bat, you know, tell us a little bit about what you do at Montway and how you guys serve a purpose in the auto industry.
Sure. So, you know, at Montway, what we are is we're a third-party logistics company, or what the industry knows as a broker. So, I mean, we work with our dealership customers and all of our customers really to find an effective way to make sure that they're getting their cars in a fast and efficient manner. We know, you know, we haven't seen cars being depreciating assets in quite a while, and
yeah,
we know in 23, if you listen to all the analysts, they're going to tell you that it's going to get back to that. Mm-hmm. So speed to get the car back on your lot is extremely important, you know, and we can help work with our customers and our partners to improve that overall turn to get that car on the lot so they can sell it quicker.
So let's take a little bit step back or look back on the last couple of years. Certainly with the pandemic, with inventory challenges, you know, dealers were struggling and a lot of lots were empty or significantly empty. So how did you guys pivot around that environment?
I mean, let's get real, right? 3 years ago, I don't know that anyone really, you know, when you got a 60, 75 day supply, when that vehicle is showing up, unless it was a super hot, unique vehicle, right? but that pivoted and changed on its head for you guys, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's, for us, where we pivoted is it really kind of pivoted towards, what Montway does. So, I mean, we built our company really in a retail model, servicing the retail public and the snowbird customer, or, the person that was moving from California down to Texas. And what that did is it built us a network of what we would say single car carriers, or car haulers that were used to moving singles. So that's where our value statement was really strong, is because we can move those single cars at a very quick speed. And as buyers and dealers had to go all across the country just to find inventory, our network really fit that niche of being able to get the car in, if I'm a dealer in Texas or Florida and I'm buying a car in Michigan, Maryland, Washington, California, we can take all of those and get those cars right back to the store. And we're one point of contact versus having to talk to 5 or 6 different transport, vendors or carriers. You can just call us and, we can handle it for you. And we know where all 6 of those buys are and when they're going to get to you. And then we have the technology platform that allows you to see that visibility as well.
So, you have an interesting perspective on where dealers are acquiring especially their used car inventory, right? So have you seen that change over the last couple of years? Where are dealers sourcing? I mean, Elliot, you saw a really interesting stat.
Yeah, we read or heard 94% of AutoNation's used cars were sourced directly from customer buys, not from auctions or not from other dealers, but directly from customers. So, which is a total departure from history. So have you seen that shift in terms of what large dealer groups need and what, individual dealers and individuals need in terms of their logistics?
For sure. So, I mean, the consumer buys have there's been a huge uptick, over the last 2 years where, dealers are going directly to the consumer to buy cars, where as a transportation company, you have to know how to pick up in those residential areas or those parking lots where you need to meet that person that sold that car.
Right.
And it's real similar to how we move the retail car. I mean, that's what we do. The online platforms have been really, really big. I think more dealers got used to, whether it's, the simulcast or Auction Edge pipeline or whatever the case may be. They got used to going to different multi-sources to, buy cars online. And I think it really just expanded, the geography in which, dealers buy cars.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because it really has expanded the geography. Now, do you see as we move into 2023 and sort of, inventory levels coming back to normal, do you see that staying the same? Do you see some of those lessons from the past being carried forward?
I do, for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, we're going to go into an interesting time, at least, from my perspective, where interest rates are as high as they've been since probably the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And, it's going to come down to payment again, whereas today we don't have a lot of those, 10 to 15 grand wholesale cars in plethora like we did back then. And now you're talking about, average wholesale prices are well above $20,000, which is going to be a pretty high payment with a, 12, 13, 14%, plus type kind of interest rate. And with that being said, dealers and buyers are going to have to source cars that are cheaper. And where are you going to find those cars? Those aren't going to be the cars that are in plethora. It's going to be your typical, your 1 to 5 year model years. And you're going to really need some of those 5+ model year cars to really be able to drive down the payment to be able to get that sale. And I do think that that dealers themselves do know how to acquire those cars now, especially since there's all these different types of mediums where you can buy cars.
It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of what we hear for the theme of 2023 is all around affordability, right? And creating that affordability for customers. So, It sounds like you have a role in that equation to help a dealer. Tell us more about how you can help dealers create that affordability.
For sure. So, one of the great things that, I love about Montway, and I've talked about our carrier base, but we're really able to get a car in all 50 states. And one of the things that we look at is we have dedicated account managers that really keep up to date on what the service levels are, how many days it is to pick up, what do we need to get it in transit. The other thing that we launched is our Montway automated portal, which we call MAP. And what MAP allows is a dealer to log in at any time, wherever they're buying, run quotes, see what the transport's going to be, and have an idea of what that cost is as they're getting ready to buy those cars. So they know, hey, based on book value, it's going to cost me another $450 to transport it. I'm going to get it here in X amount of days. And that's what our platform allows dealers to do. And once they run the quote, if they do book the order with us, then they have the visibility and tracking and seeing when the car is going to get picked up. There's a map that pops up. We'll give them an estimated ETA. So it really gives you a good idea of when all these cars are coming in and shows you where all your buys are.
I like the acronym. I got to give it to you. Fits pretty well. The MAP.
Easy to remember.
Easy to remember. But, it's interesting. We were at NADA a little while ago, and, we heard all about how on the new vehicle side, where the vehicle is not built yet, and there's potential issues with, supply chain issues, it becomes an absolute customer nightmare where the dealer gets stuck in between the manufacturer and sort of explaining to the customer why their vehicle just got pushed back another 4 weeks. And so, but if I hear you right, with your technology, with your platform, with MAP, you can actually give a customer a very accurate timetable as to when that vehicle will arrive, and it's accurate. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. So, when a dealer logs into the portal, they can go to that particular unit. The map will pop up. They'll see where the car is at and its voyage, and it will give you kind of an ETA on when it should arrive. You could actually, from a larger scale, you could actually share that link. Like if you're in a multi-store group and you have, one logistics person running the portal, they can actually share a link with a salesperson, a used car manager, or whoever for that particular unit. And that way they have their updates as well.
Yeah, that's really helpful, in providing value to the customer and communication with the customer. I would imagine if I was waiting on my car to arrive, I would really love that information.
Yeah, I think, again, we touched on it at the beginning, but I don't think logistics of car transport are on the dealer's top of mind. But when you look at an environment that we're moving into for this year, they should be looking at every area of the business, right? And this is something that could be a clear differentiator for how they interact with their customers and give them a better sense of timing.
For sure.
The also what you were mentioning there with regards to dealer groups. We know consolidation in the industry has been a long-term trend for a long time. Single point stores are rarer and rarer, although they exist in large numbers still. Large, groups of 3, 4, how do groups, even of say 3 dealerships, and how could they leverage this technology to better, better streamline their operations and ultimately delight their customers in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. So, another great question. I think I got actually 3-4 store example. So I think a couple things, on that. One was, a buyer for this particular store was buying some cars on Saturday. He bought the cars on Saturday. He put the order into the MAP system. The cars were picked up on Monday and delivered to him on Tuesday. Typically how that would work is maybe you can get a hold of someone on Saturday, but maybe you don't. Typically that order is going in on Monday, And at that point, you've missed a lot of the big rushing, the carriers booking on Sunday evening when they're getting ready to plan their day. So maybe that car gets picked up on Tuesday, and next thing you know, you're getting it on Thursday. And I think the best part, about this, from my perspective, one of the cars was in Arkansas and one was in Oklahoma, and they were both going to Houston, which typically aren't always necessarily the easiest destinations to pick up a single and get it there that quick. But I mean, I think it just shows the effectiveness and the efficiency a dealership can gain. The second part of your question is, it allows whether it's, a 3-store group or a 20-car store group, it allows to have the reporting to see what each store is doing. You're able to actually track the transportation costs. I mean, I've bought cars in my career and I've retailed cars in my career before I joined the transport ranks. And, you just put the transportation in your car deal. You don't really necessarily look at it, at least I didn't look at it as a separate expense. But in today's time and really trying to diversify, inventory or payment or whatever the case may be when you're buying cars, it becomes an important expense that, you need to start looking at, because there are ways to be more efficient. There's ways to save money. And there's ways to and do that speed. And saving money isn't just about the overall cost of the transport. Right. It's all the overhead and people's time that go into it, all the calls that you're on with carriers, and all those other things where you could be putting car deals together and just logging into a computer system to see what's going on with your transport.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
Huge time saver. And to your point, Mark, before, in terms of themes of
the year
2023, definitely dealer operational efficiency is coming up as a theme, because we could see prices going down, grosses are coming down, and dealers who want to maintain the profit levels they've enjoyed the last few years will need to look inward.
Yeah. So Mike, take us a little bit behind the curtain, if you will. How have you guys been able to kind of structure yourselves to provide that service? Is it just a really unique network of independents? Do you guys just have a really great line of communication between these transporters? Like, how does that work for you guys?
I envision in like an Uber-like app.
Yeah, like
where you have all these drivers and they're like, "I'll take it."
Yeah, is that how it works?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, yes. Not quite as easy as that. But I think that for us, it was time from I guess a strategic standpoint. You can't just think like a transport company. You have to think like a transport company and a technology company.
Right.
If you're going to really be a true partner in a third party logistics company, you have to be able to offer the service, with a good carrier base, without a doubt, and you have to be able to offer the technology. And I think the third thing that sometimes forgot about is the drivers. I mean, you have to look at the drivers. They're our customer as well, especially on the brokerage side. And if you treat them right and you treat them with respect and you understand how they want to do their business, then yes, you can feed them orders in that geographic area that they like to run.
What a great message right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that advice is probably accurate for any business.
100%.
I mean, like, treating your customers right with respect and, thinking about technology. What business can thrive now that doesn't have those things top of mind?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
The, in terms of business, we talk a lot about different use cases for things like autonomous.
Yeah.
We talk about alternative energy a lot in terms of electric, and it's not as occasionally it pops up, you hear about it, but what's your guys' view on it seems like it might be a decent use case.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a craze around a few years ago that personal ownership is going to be replaced by autonomous vehicles. And we saw the reality of that not really panning out. But it seems like now most of the autonomous talk and trends are around the transportation area. So curious, what's your thoughts on how that's evolving on your side?
I think from from the overall car hauling standpoint, it would be pretty difficult. I mean, going and top racking a minivan. If a truck with no driver showed up would be pretty difficult. I know
Right.
that when I was working for another company, part of our training was to learn how to they gave us a chance to go out the yard and top rack a minivan on top of a hauler. I'm not gonna lie, it took me about 5 times before I mustered up the courage to get that thing all the way up there.
It's
So,
scary. We've seen haulers.
I don't want any part of that.
It's part of JM family. We have a hauler, but it's a little scary going up there.
It is. It is. So Mike, what's next for you guys? We saw you're expanding in the auction realm of things. You guys just acquired Auction Direct.
Right.
So how is that going to help you in your strategy? What's the thought there?
For us, I mean, it was the ADT or Auction Direct Transport. It was a great cultural fit for us. I mean, at the end of the day, they know how to take care of their customers. Anytime you can expand, your carrier network is always a positive. And I think that's, that will also give us more of a footprint, across the country. I mean, I think that a lot of good things have already, and will keep coming because of that.
Well, Mike, I think it's time now for a segment that we like to call a sure thing.
Yeah.
Elliot, are you ready?
I think I am.
Okay.
I think I am. We had to get creative in this one.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is a topic that we don't always discuss on the walk around, but as we just heard from Mike, it's an important part of a dealer's operations. It's an opportunity for efficiency and to delight their customers.
Definitely.
So, Mike, we're going to start a sure thing. Elliot here has a lot of opinions, as I'm sure you've already got that sense. He's going to give 3 takes, maybe 4. No, I think we're going to do 3.
Yeah.
3 hot takes. And then it's your job, Mike, to tell us, is it a sure thing or not a sure thing?
Shall we?
Take it away.
Let's do it. So, we have talked quite a bit about, and you kind of hear this phrase a lot, the last mile, right? And it's used in all sorts of contexts. I've heard it used in a digital context, in terms of the last mile of the deal online. But the reality is, when I think of the last mile, I really think about, how do I get that package to your house, from the warehouse to your house, right? In an Amazon perspective, right? In a physical perspective. And, I kind of believe that, well, not kind of, that's not how we do the show.
You got to be stronger than.
Thank you. I look to you to pick me up here in my conviction. But I do believe that the last mile, in terms of transporting that vehicle, whether it be to the dealership, or to someone's home, is an absolute critical inflection point that cannot be overcome in terms of a digital experience. Sure thing or not a sure thing?
Oh, it's going to be a sure thing.
That was a softball.
You had no doubt on that one.
I didn't. But tell us more. Tell us why you think that last mile becomes a critical experiential factor for the customer.
I think that just, from a retail and car sale perspective, I mean, it's just what us as a consumer base across the country has gotten used to. Call it the Amazon effect if you want, but I mean, it's just it's almost becoming an expectation. You look at some of the online retailers, whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, they found something there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They found something there, bottom line. Right. And I think that trend's gonna have to keep continuing, whether it's them or dealerships that do it. So, I mean, I think it's just going to be a continuing trend. And, from a transport perspective, I mean, we absolutely have to come out with new and different solutions. We have a home delivery widget for dealerships. You can put on your VDP page, and you can put, the transportation quote, and, an estimated time of when that car is going to get to you.
That's great. I mean, talk about transparency and building that value
For sure.
using a real physical tool in terms of manifesting that in digitally. It's great.
All right, Elliot,
All right.
you got off to a strong start.
I mean, it was,
But let's be honest, you didn't really challenge yourself.
I didn't.
there.
I didn't. It was
okay.
a tough one. But so you mentioned, just a second ago, you mentioned some different transportation systems, and we talk a lot about EV.
Mhm.
We talk a lot about electric vehicles. It's been the toast of the industry for well over a couple of years now. And I'm a big supporter of electric vehicles. I've been not bashful about that on this podcast.
Mhm.
However, as big of a supporter as I am for electric vehicles, for customers, for individual personal car ownership, I believe that the play for alternative energy in the transportation world, in the logistics world, is an even bigger opportunity than the customer world. Sure thing or not a sure thing?
Ooh, that's a tougher one.
All right. All right. Here we go, Mike.
Now we're good.
I would say that the verdict's still out on that one, but ultimately, I mean, we're going to have to figure something out. I'm going in between. I'm going in between on you.
That's half a short
I've
thing.
gotten half credit before.
Okay, we'll give it to you.
What gives you some trepidation about that?
I think from a transportation side, it's just a matter of, you got to keep the wheels spinning. And I mean, I would have to see where the technology lies in terms of, charging life, battery life with the weight of hauling cars, what that would look like, and I just don't know enough about, that particular, that technology right now to really be able to answer that.
We did hear a lot recently about the weight of the EV and the impact on tires.
Yes.
And the
burns through
expense
tires.
of tires on an EV versus a non, and how that factor alone maybe is sort of an underappreciated maintenance cost.
Absolutely.
With an EV. So good point.
Good point,
on
Mike.
the weight.
All right, here we go. The last and final sure
Is
thing.
it? I had a bonus.
Oh, you had another?
I did.
Okay.
If we have time.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Look, I hope you don't mind me calling you out. I think you alluded to it earlier in the podcast, I think. But I'm going to call it out here because we did a little LinkedIn research. Always amazing what we can find out about someone on LinkedIn. And we happen to have discovered that you were part and you had participated in the very famous, very well thought of enterprise management trainee program. One of the most famed trainee programs out there. I think Harvard's written more business case studies about it than anyone else. And, when I think about the best training entry-level jobs, obviously.
Is this something you think about a lot, Elliot?
I do.
Think about trainee programs?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Right?
We got to get you another hobby, maybe.
Okay. All right. But when I'm thinking about training program, I don't always think about training programs.
But when you do.
But when I do, there's a few that come to mind to me, enterprise being one of them. GE, clearly another famous training program. But, growing up in New York, Disney as well, growing up in New York, to me, there was one gold standard of trainee program that everyone wanted. And I believe that still remains the gold standard today. And I'm going to say the Goldman Sachs management trainee program is the gold standard and does eclipse the enterprise trainee program.
Okay.
Sure thing or not a sure thing, Mike?
Not a sure thing,
Well,
Mike.
I'm not a sure thing on that. I do I worked for Enterprise for 14 years. I think it's by far one of the best trainee programs out there. I mean, from my perspective, I was able to learn about servicing a customer, sales, working in rental. I was able to learn about the wholesale industry, working in remarketing. I was able to learn about car sales and retailing and running a division of a company. All at a young age. In just 14 years.
Wow.
Since I graduated from college, wouldn't have traded the experience for anything.
Where were you based when you did the trainee program?
I was in Detroit.
You were in Detroit.
Which brings us to our bonus question.
Yes, the bonus. All
Yes.
right. So you are 1.5 For 3?
Okay, that's 50%.
50%?
The glass is half
Let's
full.
see if you can end on a strong
Okay.
note.
I need a bonus to get my average up here. We did a little research, and Mike is an alumni of Wayne State University
Yes, the great Wayne
in
State.
Michigan. And we were very surprised to learn that Wayne State has a lot of notable alumni.
Some shockers,
Some real shockers.
if you will.
Right? I'll give you a couple of them.
Okay.
Okay. Casey Kasem,
The great Casey Kasem.
America's Top 40. Jeffrey Tambor of Arrested Development fame, famous actor.
Love that show.
Great actor. Rashida Tlaib, Helen Thomas.
The Supreme Court Justice.
This is Supreme Court Justice's wife.
Yes.
Ernie Hudson. Who are you going to call?
Did you know these, Mike? Do you know?
I
these
knew
names?
I knew a few of them, yeah, but not
Okay.
all.
Yeah. And
Now.
of course, the great Ken Jeong of
The Hangover. Right.
But I believe that there is one notable alumni who clearly shines above the rest. His call sign is Viper. That's right. The great Tom Skerritt
Tom Skerritt.
is, in my opinion, the most notable alumni in Wayne State history. Sure thing or not a sure thing, Mike?
I'm going to give you a sure thing on this one, Elliot.
Wow.
Oh, that's
So
right.
You don't
Get
have
the
anyone
average
better
up.
than Tom Skerritt. Not that there's anything wrong with Tom Skerritt, but you got anyone better?
I think
No?
that's good.
Okay. We left one open
You
that we
did?
did not mention, and we did that very
Oh,
intentionally.
I like. I'd have to say Joey Bell because I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and he was a good running back from Wayne State that has a few good years with the Lions.
Okay.
All right. We'll take
Well,
that.
it's funny because the one person we didn't mention, because it's very traumatic around here to talk about him, is the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross,
Stephen Ross.
who is a Wayne State alumni.
We are
And we're-
long-suffering Dolphins fans.
That's right.
Elliot and I.
And so we do not speak his name.
Well, Mike can, relate as a Lions fan.
Yeah, I can relate. I can definitely relate. You guys had a
are on-
decent year this year, though.
You know what? I'm going to go on record and say both the Dolphins and the Lions will make the playoffs next year.
I'm with you.
That's a sure thing. I'm hoping.
I'm in.
All right.
All right, Mike, what a great conversation. Thanks so much for joining us. We learned a lot. I'm certain our dealer customers who listen are going to learn a lot. Thanks again for your time and joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they find your info?
Obviously you can find me on LinkedIn, as Elliot knows.
Yeah.
But you can reach out go to the Montway Auto Transport website. The calculator on there is for our retail customers, but if you would just go to the business page, and there's a contact us form, and you can reach me there. Or if people want to email me direct, they can email me direct at mike.trudeau@montway.com.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mike.
it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.